Hey guys, Omni here. We're about to dive into our final breakdown of Season 1 of Marvel's What If, of course, with New Rockstars Eric Voss. It was an insane finale, especially if you consider it a two-parter with the last one. Like, the last episode and that one combined has some crazy stuff going on from it, from the implications across the multiverse to the over-the-top action to just a lot of interesting ideas just kind of clashing, of course. And I'm really curious to see what Mr. Mr. Voss over there, and New Rockstars is able to find in this episode that maybe we overlooked. So guys, if again, as always, if you're not subscribed to New Rockstars, I will continue to endorse them until you all are. And buy their merch. Anyway, here we go.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of Marvel's What If Episode 9. What if the Watcher broke his oath? A season finale that assembles the Guardians of the Multiverse to avenge Vegas?
Viva Las Vegas!
As always, this episode was filled with interesting details and connections to the live-action MCU with major implications for the multiverse going forward, so I'm going to break it all down frame by frame for everything that you might have missed. We open with Captain Carter after her jump to the present era in Episode 1, following in the footsteps of Steve Rogers and the Lemurian Star mission from the opening of Captain America Winter Soldier. Peggy now wears the blue and white stealth suit that Steve wore, but with a Union Jack pattern across the chest instead, and Natasha has a shorter haircut that she had in that film. Their target is once again Batroc, except before it was Rumlow briefing everyone.
How many pirates?
25. Top mercs led by this guy, George Batroc.
Peggy leads this briefing.
How many pirates?
20 or so charmers, led by this one, Batroc.
In the film, we later learn that Nick Fury actually hired Batroc to hijack the Lemurian Star because he was suspicious of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s true intentions for Project Insight, and he secretly ordered Natasha to steal data from those computers.
You know, I'm getting a little tired of being Fury's janitor.
Relax, it's not that complicated.
So now, Peggy leading the briefing suggests that this is her mission, not Fury's operation, which might be why the cargo is different from Project Insight related stuff. As we learn in the post-credit scene, Steve Rogers' old Hydra Stomper armor with someone inside. You can see biometrics over on the left, so that someone is alive. But assuming S.H.I.E.L.D. was still being corrupted by Hydra at this point, this Hydra Stomper could have been part of Hydra's Winter Soldier program, since if you think about it, Steve did kind of take Bucky's place back in Episode 1, and it would be one way of explaining how Steve survived this long. Setting up poor Peggy in this awkward conflict now with Steve Rogers in a kind of iron lung, brainwashed by Hydra. Now we hear the variant Captain Carter theme from Episode 1.
Now, though, the last time we saw him on the train, you know, we picked back up with him later. He survived that and then was at the castle whenever she made it out. So he would have had to have been picked up by Hydra there if that was the case. Right? Theoretically? I don't know. Anyway.
Episode 1.
Gentlemen, watch our 6.
Strike team, you heard the captain. Gear up.
This episode is actually great with musical leitmotifs, including a piano rendition of Steve's theme.
And there's someone inside.
The Guardians theme.
Stay here. Leave this fight to us.
Killmonger's theme. Doctor Strange's theme. And the Avengers theme. Just as Natasha tried to hook up Steve with Kristen from Statistics, Natasha does the same with Peggy.
You know, Bernard in accounting was asking about you.
Nothing good has ever followed the phrase Bernard in accounting.
Poor Bernard. Accountants make great partners, Peggy.
Nothing good has ever followed the phrase Bernard in accounting.
Especially if Bernard is Adam Bernard Brashear Blue Marble, because if so, you gotta get on that. But Natasha says,
What if his name was Steve?
Ouch! Just when we were becoming pals, widow.
yeah, Peggy is still sore over never getting that dance with Steve Rogers, which she brings up again when she tells Batroc she's a pretty good dancer. And when Peggy catches her shield, it kicks off a little puff of vapor slicing through the night air. And in this thick sea layer, with eyes gleaming to match the bright full moon, is the Watcher.
Captain Carter, the soldier lost in time. You have been chosen.
So yes, the Watcher is recruiting a dream team to save the multiverse. That comes from What If number 39, What If the Watcher Saved the Universe, in which he forms a team consisting of Thor, an android Iron Man, Doctor Doom from the Fantastic Five, and Vampire Wolverine. And from this we kaleidoscope wipe over to the Dairy Queen in Missouri from episode 2, as well as the Guardians Volume 2 film. And here we see Ego linking with Peter Quill to form the expansion from that film, but T'Challa's ship, the Mandela, actually leads the other Ravagers ship in the strike, and Ego says,
Relax, son. It'll all be over in 1,000 years or so.
just a reminder of Ego's plan in that film to use Quill as a 1,000-year battery.
I wanted to do this together. But I suppose you'll have to learn by spending the next 1,000 years as a battery.
And then on to Nidavellir, of course, the weapons forgery from Infinity War, where Gamora is carrying Thanos' double-bladed sword and wears the armor that she wore in 2014 in Endgame, as well as Eitri and Tony Stark in the Hulkbuster armor with Sakaar decor, the three of them melting the Infinity Gauntlet. I really wanted it to do a T2 thumbs up on the way down. But apparently this is the aftermath of an episode that was delayed to season 2, which would have shown Gamora killing Thanos on Sakaar. They say it was delayed because of COVID. I call bullshit. Producing animation remotely, it's not like trying to do live action remotely. They totally could have got it done. There was some plot reason that they delayed it, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, honestly. Like, when they announced it was COVID related why it didn't get done, I was like, I mean, it's not like you got to film. A lot of behind special effects work and stuff like that just was done from home in a lot of the films that have been produced over the last 2 years. So
I think this plot would have involved Tony Stark in Age of Ultron Hulkbuster armor, taking Hulk's place on the Quinjet to Sakaar, and maybe Thanos sacrificing Nebula on Vormir instead of Gamora so that Peter Quill didn't stupidly break his trance, and they could have stopped Thanos earlier. Another possibility is that Stark could have gotten stuck on the other side of that wormhole in the first Avengers film when he nukes Thanos' forces, and then maybe got stranded on Sakaar and had to build that Hulkbuster armor from scratch in a dump with a pile
that
of
would be
scraps.
interesting.
Now, notice Eitri still
That'd
has
be
his
interesting.
hands, whereas in the main MCU continuity, Thanos cut off his hands right after he forged that gauntlet that they're currently melting and cast the stumps in Uru. So something changed. Maybe they used a reality stone to bring his hands back before pulverizing the stones with the Infinity Crusher, or the animators didn't give a shit. Now, Tony's armor has some upgrades, including some huge discs on the shoulders. Maybe these are the sonic cannons from his designs that were used to subdue Hulk in the 2008 film and were actually later added to his drones in Spider-Man Far From Home. Also, there are 3 claws on each fist. Did Tony run into Wolverine? Is that why this episode was delayed to season 2? Oh my god. But this would have been the one episode this season to spare Tony Stark's life, and here he says,
How do we put a suit of armor around the world? Around the galaxy? You can't tell me there's not another big bad lurking in the shadows, monster under the bed.
Always with that suit of armor. It's like his only metaphor. Now, Gamora sees this big bad as the Watcher reflected in Tony's Sicarian plating, but I think this line was added to redirect this delayed episode as one setting up the season 1 finale to instead one connected to season 2 and whatever season 2's new multiversal big bad will be. Now, while Kang seems like a good bet, I think the other Watchers with whom Uatu made his oath and now broke that oath, coming to seek accountability, could also be the possible new big bad. Shuri and Pepper lead the Dora Milaje against Killmonger from episode 6. Pepper wielding that gun that looks like the one based on the Asgardian Destroyer armor that Coulson wielded in the first Avengers film, and Shuri wielding her vibranium gauntlets from Black Panther, weaponizing those alongside a refusal to get vaccinated. The Watcher recruits Killmonger.
Eric Stevens. Killmonger. Tony Stark's former protege and killer.
Yeah, the Watcher's eyes narrow on Killer, showing that the Watcher probably knows he cannot trust Killmonger, and it is Killmonger's traitorous behavior that is why the Watcher probably needs him on his team. Now, in Vegas, Thor wrestles Ultron sentries following Ultron's arrival in episode 7.
Nobody messes with Vegas.
Yeah, I like how the frame initially pans over to just show part of the Watcher in the sky, as opposed to the clear, decisive reveal shots for all the other recruits. Just shows how party Thor is super distracted. So the Watcher reaches down to grab him like a toy.
You've been chosen.
That scream, man. I loved it.
Yeah, he's still screaming all the way to his new location, just as he does in Ragnarok in the Grandmaster's Palace. But more importantly, he continues to clutch that severed Ultron Sentry head, which Killmonger later uses. So you could argue catching Thor off guard just like this was also part of the Watcher's master plan. He needed that head in Killmonger's hand. They're transported to the same pub that Peggy and Steve got a drink in episode 1. Thor orders a beer from Doctor Strange, just like he gets one from him in Ragnarok, and then he chugs and smashes it just as he does pretty much every drink in his hand.
Another!
The Watcher explains,
At first, I scoured eternity for one true hero. Then I saw the bigger picture. This mission requires a team, the perfect combination of skills and experience that alone will triumph.
So the Watcher needs more than just one or even 1,000 cosmically powerful warriors. Really, he needs a specific ragtag group of underdogs that Ultron would underestimate, but also one of whom would betray the rest and allow the stones to be sequestered. So this isn't a true dream team, it's really a band of misfits, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is why he calls them.
You are the Guardians of the Multiverse.
So when Thor tries to leave, outside the bar is this swirling storm, the pub exterior made up of Doctor Strange's eldritch magic and a clockwork grid. I love the production design here. It kind of looks like Strange hid them in a dimension between realities, like the surreal zones that he zipped through in the Doctor Strange film, same imagery used in the No Way Home trailer. The gold and color palette does match the portal through which Wanda Maximoff saw her future Scarlet Witch self. I just think this may be the same kind of setting that Multiverse of Madness takes place in. Familiar fragments of broken realities reconstructed amidst a chaotic hellstorm. Dr. Strange explains,
6 stones of near unfathomable power, each controlling an essential aspect of our existence.
Yes, this is the same lecture that Wong explains to Stark in Infinity War.
Big bangs and 6 elemental crystals. These Infinity Stones each control an essential aspect of existence.
As they discuss the mission, Killmonger is almost always staring at the Ultron Sentry head. Now, this head is probably made of vibranium, as all the final form Ultrons were, which is the same as Killmonger's suit, which that hum that we heard earlier indicated.
Why did you bring us here? What do you want with us?
All good questions.
They order Chinese takeout, just like the Avengers do when brainstorming the time heist in Endgame, and Gamora presents the Infinity Crusher, a device of Nidavellian design with gears like a rock grinder.
The Infinity Crusher, designed to disintegrate each stone into nothing.
Now, Infinity Stones, according to Endgame directors, cannot be fully destroyed, since Infinity Stones are needed to maintain a universe's proper flow of time, but they can be atomized and prevented from actual use. That's likely what this crusher does. Thor says,
Slow down a little bit. There's a few people in the room that don't understand. Not me, I get it, but for them, maybe repeat it.
You're ready.
Yeah, the Watcher decides they're ready in spite of Thor's dumb statement here. This shows that he is actually counting on Thor Leroy Jenkinson into this mission to lure Thanos into underestimating the whole team. Doctor Strange forms protection spells for each of them, and I like how each has a different pattern. Like there's a 5-pointed star, a 6-pointed one, some suns. I assume each using mysticism from a different tradition. And actually later we see the 5-pointed stars for Captain Carter, as if her protection is linked with Steve Rogers. Both T'Challa and Killmonger have the sun pattern, maybe a nod to their African roots. Thor gets a series of squares and a kind of Norse runic pattern, and Gamora gets the interlaid triangles with nodes around the circumference, evoking an alien Sicarian design. And then the spells coat them like armor, giving Thor a winged crown, Killmonger and Gamora shoulder armor, and T'Challa in a crown.
Dude,
and
it reminds me of like some of the glimmers, some of the ornaments in Destiny that you can get for certain armor sets.
Armor for her English roots. Strange's squid demon from episode 4 emerges from his hand. Peggy, who later stares down this beast in the final battle, recognizes this anatomy as some that she fought in episode 1.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You know, she would recognize that.
Multiverse of Madness.
Can I ask what happened?
Same thing that happened to you.
Strange gives a toast.
A wise sorcerer once told me that to face death is part of the plan. To face death is to conquer one's greatest fear of the unknown, of nothingless space.
Yeah, it sounds like he's trying to quote the Ancient One's death speech.
Death is what gives life meaning. To know your days are numbered, your time is short.
Ultron finds him first as a giant face
Completely
in the sky,
failed.
as the Watcher usually does, but way bigger, and he arrives through an interdimensional portal with that crystalline texture, showing his mastery now over the multiverse, as on par with the Watcher. Now, Ultron uses a fun combination of the Soul, Reality, and Power Stones, but not the Space Stone, to crumble the mountain that they're standing on. I suppose the Soul Stone in this case to isolate which souls under which the ground to warp the reality of, and the Power Stone to give it all an oomph. The Soul Stone is just always a weird one to judge the functionality of. We really just saw it when Thanos used it to isolate isolate which Strange was the real one in the Wizard Duel Infinity War, actually Strange uses that same Images of Icon spell to duplicate Mjolnir and swarm them around Ultron. Strange magics up Peggy's shield to create a Mjolnir plus shield shockwave, and then she hitches a ride back with one of the Mjolnirs the way Spider-Man did in Endgame. T'Challa grabs Ultron and gets thrown off. You can actually see the moment that he snatches the Soul Stone, and it's pretty impressive because he does it with the hand that he's holding the blaster with. Strange then unleashes 3 demon dragons. We actually saw him absorb 2 of these in episode 4, which I thought was redundant animation at the time, but nope, 3 dragon heads are better than 1. Strange opens a portal from the zombie universe. The first ones to fall on Ultron are Zombie Cap, Zombie Falcon, and Zombie Hawkeye. Zombie Cap was split down the middle.
Yeah,
of
that's why I was like really kind of confused.
More pour out.
So did it like just like I noticed that myself. I was like, wait a second, but I didn't say anything in the reaction because everything just kept on rolling. Like, wouldn't he have? Can they just like shove their parts back together and walk off?
Out and pile up. But worst among them is zombie Wanda Maximoff, who should have the power to break an Infinity Stone like she did the Mind Stone in Vision's head in Infinity War, but she softens briefly. Maybe because she recognizes this red synthezoid face as that of her love Vision, but Ultron uses this hesitancy to blow up the freaking
I didn't
planet.
think about
and
that.
As they exit through the portal, Thor does a backwards jump just like Peter Quill did in Infinity War, and they return to Ultron's home reality on post-apocalyptic Earth to crush the stone. From the signs, this actually looks like Tokyo. Peggy needs to prove to Natasha that she knows her.
Your father is Ivan, your Dar's Alexei, and you're the one woman I trust to have my 6.
She uses Red Skull's genealogy from Endgame, daughter of Ivan, but it's interesting that Peggy would know that because Natasha did not know it. But then yes, of course, her Da being Alexei, a nod to Alexei Shostakov, her fake dad of the KGB from Black Widow. Ultron flips out. Why won't you die?
Wait. So I some people didn't notice the little like pop-up that I put when I was watching it myself. I thought he just swallowed the Soul Stone in my first glance. However, on the rewatch, on the loop around, no, I'm fully aware about at least what he's about to say is that he condensed that explosion and swallowed the explosion. So I know some people in the comments didn't notice the pop-up.
What? Yeah, good question. Well, it's because Strange still has the power of the Time Stone, as we see later in this battle, meaning that he could rewind Ultron's explosion the way Thanos rewinded Wanda blowing up the Mind Stone, and then consume the Boom Boom, the way he did all of those demons. Peggy says,
"Give him all you've got. Don't give him a chance to think."
Which also tells us a bit about their strategy, right? It's not about beating Ultron head-to-head. It's about overwhelming him so that he cannot process this next move. And like the Avengers dogpiling on Thanos on Titan, we get this awesome long take of each of them landing their blows on Ultron, followed by another long take, but just on the close-up of the Soul Stone for 11 seconds as people fight over it. I love using the Soul Stone as a synecdoche for all of their souls. The Watcher's soul, the soul of the multiverse. This is the stone that we've seen the least of in the MCU, representing the whole of it in this battle. Ultron uses the Time Stone to suspend them all in slow motion while he reclaims the Soul Stone, but Strange uses his own Time Stone to neutralize this spell. This is the first time we have seen one Infinity Stone used against a variant universe Infinity Stone, so by this logic, duplicate stones do retain their power even when they share a universe. But so far, I guess when one is used against the other, it just cancels each other out. Ultron grows big, and Strange allows those demons inside of him to take over, which the artists show with this amazing effect. Probably my favorite shot of the episode, the energy splitting the frame into different states of being for Strange. One layer showing Strange, the layer underneath showing his demonic form. It's just a really tactile expression of Strange painfully ripping himself apart to do this. They pin Ultron and use the Infinity Crusher, but
Every universe is different, each one just a fraction unique.
The Crusher was designed to destroy the stones on my world, not his.
Yes, of course, the framing matches the Avengers circle up shot in the first Avengers film, and here this episode establishes yet another bit of Infinity Stone rulemaking. While duplicate stones can both function in a shared universe, they can only be destroyed by something from their same home universe. Okay. Natasha uses the arrow with Zola's AI from episode 8, a shot that, if you think about it, she only had because Ultron in this moment is focusing mostly on Strange. It leaves some blind spots. And I think this is, again, part of the Watcher's plan to delay Natasha's ace in her hole to the last minute like this. Peggy uses the arrow to take out one of Ultron's eyes, and in this moment you can see on the Infinity Stones are now glowing somewhat duller after this point, because in Ultron's mind, his Ultron consciousness is battling with the Zola AI, and Zola uses the same kind of snaky neural neuron bolt attacks that Ultron used to kill Jarvis, and I love how those 8 strands match the 8 tentacles of the Hydra sigil. Ultron is dead, but Killmonger still has that head with Ultron's consciousness left glowing in it, and his vibranium link allows him control of the Reality Stone to assemble his own Killmonger Infinity armor. That was the Fool of Flute, which composer Ludwig Göransson used as Killmonger's unique sound in Black Panther, Peter and the Wolf style, and that riff sounded like a real victorious but also belligerent blow, expressing Killmonger being drunk on power here. But Killmonger Infinity is challenged.
I am afraid that armor belongs to me.
Aha, finally Zola's android form from the comics with his face in the tummy, a design teased as an Easter egg in the first Cap film, coming to life, and they tug of war over the stones with this little rift in space, kind of evoking their Big Bang origin. I like that touch. But Strange realizes...
Didn't think about that.
We were here to separate the stones from the body.
And so he creates a pocket dimension around them, trapping them both.
You foresaw every moment from the failed Infinity Crusher to Killmonger's betrayal and your sacrifice.
Yes, one wonders how far back the Watcher's plan went. Was it to his team up with Doctor Strange or even before that? And with this episode titled, What If the Watcher Broke His Oath, we never really see the consequences of that broken oath. I do plan to explore the Watcher's full plan and his next steps in a video coming soon. They all return to their home realities, but Peggy Carter wants to go back to the 40s.
Haven't I earned my happy ending?
For reasons I assume we will see in season 2, since Captain Carter is confirmed as a focal character for this whole series and will likely be linked with the rediscovery of Steve in the Hydra Stomper armor in the post-credit scene. Meanwhile, Black Widow, he allows to join the one episode not referenced thus far in the finale, episode 3, which ended with Nick Fury teaming up Steve Rogers with Carol Danvers to fight Loki's takeover of Earth. This SHIELD helicarrier is numbered 64, the same number from the first Avengers film, and this could provide one way Natasha Romanoff could ever return in live action, especially now that Scarlett Johansson has wonderfully settled her legal troubles with Disney, thanks to millions of dollars in a payout. And we're left with the Watcher saying,
"Every story is my home, and I will protect it to the end."
Just like he said to Natasha.
Your stories, they are everything to me.
I love this because yes, while we have seen the Watcher as a kind of creepy voyeuristic figure, his sudden vulnerability here gives us permission to have emotional attachments to the stories that we watch. Yeah, it's okay to see pieces of ourselves in the wins and losses of our heroes, because why are any of us here if not to stir something inside of each other? And with that, I want to thank you all so much for playing Watcher to this whole season of coverage of Marvel's What If, these breakdowns and our Inside Marvel after shows. It's just been a delight unpacking it all together, trying to keep up with its elusive Infinity Stone logic. And if you want to support us, the best way to do it is by checking out our merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EABoss. Follow and subscribe to New Rockstars. Thanks again for watching. Bye.
All right. Another wonderful breakdown. I really like when he goes off and starts trailing about like the meaning behind stuff, the symbolism, and like the imagery evokery that happens. I don't think that's even the proper or right way to say that, but you know what I mean. I like when he goes into that kind of thing. I really appreciate that sort of stuff. Lots of details, obviously, that I missed. But I enjoyed this quite a bit, guys. I really did. Like I had my criticisms with the season overall, with certain things here and there, obviously. But I never didn't have fun though with any of the episodes. So I had a blast watching the series, and honestly, that's what I wanted. I just wanted to see some crazy stuff. In the end, it didn't need to all make sense. Some of it, obviously didn't. He called out multiple things where it's just like, I don't know if they thought about this here and there. And then there was even like in an interview talked about, because this and Loki were developed out of order, they didn't communicate. So certain things, like the absolute point they had intended to call a Nexus event, they didn't know that's what Loki was going to end up calling it. And that's what they kind of went off. So there's like this back and forth from what Loki did and what this show was going to do, where there wasn't some communication happening. So that's why there's a little bit of some confusion in how things are working. So hopefully, like in Loki season 2 and What If season 2, maybe they can iron out some of that. But for what we got, I had a blast with it, guys. So I want to know what you guys thought. Sound off the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. Are you excited for season 2? What do you want to see in season 2? Let me know. If you want to join our Discord and talk about it there as well, or anything else Marvel-related, DC, movies in general, TV, anime, games, whatever, we've got a channel for everything in my Discord. Links to that and all my socials are down in the description below. Before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends, Mandy Sherritt, Ryan Karen, Jason Coleman, Philly Vane, Yori Korskov, Margaret Grace, Peelings M, and Mary Bradley. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and being along for this journey, because we got a little bit of a break when it comes to Disney Plus and Marvel until Hawkeye hits the ground. But we got Eternals coming up. We got a few things coming around the corner, but we got content streaming the whole way through, at least for other things that I cover here on the channel at least. But November into December is going to be some fun stuff, guys. A lot of stuff coming around the corner. But guys, I hope to see you there. Hope you enjoyed this. I'll catch you all next time. Take care, everybody.